Our heart's clear. I'll be out into the Torah bar for this day that you have blessed us with. I'll be I ask that you can remove any sin from us, anything that is unclean, anything that is unrighteous. I ask that you can remove it from our households and also remove it from our bodies. I'll be I ask on this day that you can hear the prayers that are sent forth. And I ask that you could open the minds of all the brothers on this call, even the ones that are not on this call. I ask that you could strengthen us as an assembly. I ask that you could feed us with your word, feed us with your spirit. And I ask that you can guide our steps. And I ask that we can inquire of you before we make any choice. And I ask that you put a guard over our mouth and our mind so we will not sin against you. And I ask that as we walk through this life, we will not stray away from your word, but I ask that you give us the strength to overcome all things. And I ask that your word will not depart from us, but I ask that with all the reading that we do and all the studying that we do, we get understanding. I ask that you can feed us with new information, new concepts, new precepts. And I ask that with all I get it, we get understanding. And I ask that false doctrine will not plant seeds in our mind, but I ask that we can cleave to the truth. Bless us in the name of Yahweh, and bless anybody that comes in the name of Yahweh. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, amen, amen. Kanaka, I'd like to ask if you could jump right to the Decalogue of Sirach, reading about the Hebrew language for me, Adon, if you can get that for me. While Kanaka is getting that to read that to us. Tonight, I want to kind of focus a little bit on the language. The Decalogue is going to tell us a lot about why it's important. One thing is in our community, I would like for us to start having some growth. I want to have more growth in myself. And Moreh Dawood can probably share with you, as I can share with you, that, we want to grow too. We need to actually have study time. And right now we're maxed out with the amount of classes and studies that we're doing. But also there needs to be growth in all of us. And so we are what's called Hebrew Israelites commonly. And one of the things that most Hebrew Israelites lack is actually the Hebrew tongue or the Hebrew language. So, and it's a very important part of our culture. And I think we should work our way back to that and having a partial study, having time to study that and getting to the point where when we're actually in a Knesset, that if Moreh Dawood is teaching and he goes into actually uttering something in Hebrew, the fact that we're studying and we're laboring together, that we will be able to fulfill even the writings of the scriptures that's in the Brit Kadashah. And I'm going to quote this tonight because I know y'all are already familiar with it. It says, when you speak in a Knesset, in an assembly, in an unknown tongue, if there's not an interpreter present, it shouldn't be spoken. So therefore, when we're coming together for our feast days, for our Shabbat services, it should be where we're actually showing growth to the people, that we are actually growing, that we can go in and out of our native tongue right now, which is going to be English, but we can go turn back to our original, which should be native tongue, which will be Hebrew, and we can start, sharing things that way. And at least us as the officers, the Morehs, the Zakanim, the leadership will be showing growth in that department. So this is a portion of the curriculum that we all start working on some of our basic Hebrew and start to grow in the Hebrew together. And if you don't practice it, you will not grow in it. And if you don't practice it, you will lose it. I've been there, done that. So Kanaka, if you could you start off with the Decalogue for me in Sirach? Mainly referencing the point about the Hebrew language.
All right. This Prologue of Wisdom of Solomon. Not Solomon, Sirach. Whereas many and great things have been delivered unto us by the law and the prophets, and by others that have followed their steps, for the which things Israel ought to be commended for learning and wisdom, and whereof not only the readers must needs become skillful themselves, but also they that desire to learn be able to profit them which are without, both by speaking and writing. My grandfather Yahushua, when he had given himself to the reading of the law and the prophets and other books of our fathers, and had gotten therein good judgment, was drawn on also himself to write something pertaining to learning and wisdom, to the intent that those which are desirous to learn are addicted to these things might profit much more in living according to the law. Wherefore let me entreat you to read it with favor and attention, and to pardon us, wherein we may seem to come short of some words which we have labored to interpret. For the same things uttered in Hebrew and translated into another tongue have not the same force in them. And not only these things, but the law itself, and the prophets, and the rest of the books have no small difference when they are spoken in their own language.
Hallelujah. So again, just want to establish that there was, well, before I establish, I just want to ask the question, what's some of the main points that you heard made there in reference? I'm not only focused on the language, but just in general, from what he just read, what is something that jumps out at y'all in y'all lab that was some of the focal points of what he just read? Shashamar, the floor is yours first, though.
And yeah, basically, words in a different tongue, whether it be, English or Spanish or, Korean, it doesn't have the same power if you were to say that word in the Hebrew tongue. That's what I got from it.
Okay, hallelujah. I see who's the, okay, Adon Uziel, the floor is yours.
Okay, I was gonna say the same thing. Could you utter what chapter that was again?
Kanakia, can you call off to him where you were reading from?
It's at the prologue. It's a couple paragraphs. I don't know if it's in the newer Bibles, but in the 1611, they got the prologue in here.
As a matter of fact, let me just see if it's Sifar, because I read mine from the 1611 as well. Let me just go to my Shlika. Moreh Dawood, does
Slika.
Does the Et Sifar Moreh Dawood have the prologue in it or no? Okay, he might not be on right this minute.
Moreh, I know some apocryphers. I read from the King James Version Apocrypha, but I know I have another version, and it starts off with chapter 1. It doesn't have the prologue, but the same prologue is chapter 1 of Ecclesiasticus or Sirach.
Okay, so Adon Uz, it may be chapter 1 of Sirach or Ecclesiasticus, or it will be what's considered the prologue right before chapter 1. Does yours have it, Uz? Do you see it?
I'm in the spare right now.
You said what, Adon?
I'm in the Sefer right now, and I don't see it.
Okay. Well, if not, like I said, some apocryphers may not have it, and I can probably get you like a screenshot of it, or and if it's something that you want to have in a regular book, the little apocrypha you can get by itself, just the little red ones, which is the KJV. A lot of them say they're the King James version ones. Those are about $10. If you want to pick up one, but we can actually screenshot it so you can read it on your own reading time. If you like to have it for your records. Adon Yakwa, what did you have, sir?
I was just going to go into the question that you asked,
Yes,
some things that we see.
Okay.
For me, like you said, besides the language portion, the strength of the original tongue, but I like right from the beginning where it says, whereas many and great things have been delivered unto us by the law and the prophets and by the others that have followed their steps. And then he goes into where his grandfather took it on as a great importance and effort to make sure that this these laws, the prophets and all of that are, in other words, preserved for us.
Torah, Adon. Oh no, the screen. I have it 16. Okay, Torah, Adon. He said he has 16:11. Yeah, so it's right there in your 16:11. Hallelujah, Adon. But yes, sir, Zakane. Hallelujah. So that's one of the main things I was looking at. The fact of they were laboring to study, to learn the greatness of the Torah. And yes, sometimes they might have been a little short of some understanding, but they were laboring to try to understand it. They were laboring to get an understanding of it. And not only were they just laboring to try to understand the Torah, but they were also trying to understand the Torah in the language that it was actually written in. So even with the scattering that happened, and some people got away from actually the language as we are far removed from the language, when they went back to try to get into really getting into this word, they went back to the language that it was written in, trying to fully understand it. And they understood that the word itself, if you take it out of its original context, from the original language that it was given to the people in, and the thought process of the mindset of the Hebrew language that the Most High spoke to his Hebrew people, to Israel, then you understand that these words have different meanings and understandings. That is the reason why sometimes when people come and when we're teaching scriptures, they want to say, well, I've read this all this time, and how did you and Moreh Dawood get that out of that? And even though we're still reading it in English to them because we have an English audience or English base, it's not really that we're just reading English to them. We're giving them in the English language, the Hebraic understanding, because we've already interpreted, we've researched, we've studied, we've translated from Hebrew, understood the Hebrew mindset of it to bring it forth more informatively to those today. And that's why it says, because you profit from it. And those who translate and those who go into it, they find a great profit from it. And we profit those who we share the word with when you actually look at it from the Hebraic understanding of how it was actually written in the beginning. And so as they of old, as we now, there's some of an interpretation that we're going to be shy on, we're short of, but if we're not laboring at it continually and regularly, we will never get it. So I wanted to go there just to show the importance of how we have to study this Torah. We have to be thorough in it, and we also have to be studying our language and grow to the point of being thorough in the language, because there's all types of things and challenges that will come. And for us who are on this Ish Elohim study, you know, we are the ones that really have to, if no one else in the congregation, if no one else in the assemblies can do certain things or know certain things, it is for us, the soldiers of the Most High, to be the ones who can direct people according to the word of the Most High, because we understand it, because we are studying Torah regularly. We're also studying the language to verify if what we have in our English text is lining up with what's in the actual text itself. So, so I'm going to do a screen share for a moment. Where's my screen share? Go back to Zoom. So I know, so Yamain said something the other day during Shabbat service, and that his Isha is encouraging him. And if y'all notice, there are several sisters that are reading the Hebrew, and they're actually getting into some beast mode with it. Like you can tell they have an enjoyment for it. They've studied it. They even though they may not be able to fully parse it out as of yet, they actually can identify the letters, the vowels, the sounds, and they're getting more and more fluent. And the reason that is because they have an interest in it and they are actually practicing. And it's actually motivating to myself, because as one that like to try to go over the Hebrew, you can't really do it if the Knesset don't want to be involved in it. But when you see that you have those that are eager to studying it, then of course it gives you that motivation to want to do so. And as Jermaine said, it should also encourage the other brothers to be like, hold up, like we are supposed to be the Kohanim or the priests of the Knesset. We're the officers, the captains, the so on and so forth. So we should be able to do things before anyone else because we are studying. And so that's why tonight we're going to be focusing on it. And again, part of our men's study will be to work on the Hebrew language. So of course, This is just a sheet. And for those that don't have this already, sorry, Johanna, I'll try to get you all this information so that you can share it with the group so they can have all this information. And there's a ton of notes and different notes that I have as far as with the Hebrew that you can pull up. But what I want us to look at is there's different alphabet in the Hebrew. And the goal that I want everyone to be able to do by next men's class, which gives you, it gives you pretty much 2 weeks, because next week is gift. The following week will be our study again. So we have a couple of weeks to try to work on this. And so there's what we call the ancient Hebrew alphabet, and then we have the modern, okay? So, and of course we have the picto. Right now I'm not worried about the early or the picto. I'm more so focusing on this middle, which is going to be what they commonly call the paleo, which is my preferred. I prefer paleo. However, I teach more of in class the modern, and the reason that we teach the modern and what I want us to understand with understanding the language is not getting caught up in some of the foolishness and some of the things that brothers have been regurgitating for a long time by knocking someone's Hebrew dialect, the way somebody pronounce a word different than you pronounce a word in Hebrew. As we see here, we have to labor to understand these things. There are different dialects. There's a Nakud system. There's the ancient, there's the what's considered the paleo. And so sometimes things may have a different phonetic sound. So basically I prefer the paleo. However, the preferred that I'm teaching at the moment is the modern. And the reason being is because pretty much all Torahs or books that are sold for us to get for our study today have been translated into what's commonly the modern Hebrew, or was actually the Assyrian script. And this is like from the time of Babylonian captivity when things started changing. So there's a history also behind the way that the language somewhat morphed from one alphabet type, which would have been, this is the early, the proto, the picto, but the paleo, and then it morphed over to now the Assyrian script, which they commonly call the modern. The numerical value, nor does the phonetic sound of the actual alphabet actually change. It is just the appearance that is actually changed. What makes a phonetic sound change is in the modern, or what they commonly call biblical Hebrew, is what's called the Nakud vowel point system. I'll go into all that in more thorough detail at a later date. I'm just kind of sharing these things for the conversation purpose for the night of understanding that here's what you've been learning thus far. But the goal within the next 2 weeks, I want you to be able to recognize, which the majority of you already know, this modern line. For Elder Lasimba, it would be more of a challenge for him to learn this because he already knows this. But for those who've already been working on the modern, work on your paleo so that we will have both, so that we can interchange. So if someone pulls something out of a text, or if you're seeing when you're reading in certain books, in certain history books, where they found archaeology digs have found certain things that was written in the Hebrew, the majority of the time, the Hebrew that you're going to see that was found on an archaeological dig site is going to be this and not the modern. This is the book script, but when you find from the archaeology dig site, this is the Hebrew that you're going to see. So I would like for us to get familiar with at least knowing the alphabet. Now, it's good to know the meanings of them, but we'll grow to that. I'm not trying to put too much on us at one time, but right now, just learn the alphabet of each type. So we have the modern, or what they commonly call the biblical here, and you also have the paleo. And this is also Zykain Yaquab preferred. He prefers the paleo to the modern as well, but he also has labored to be on board to recognize the Nakud system and all that, because that's what you modernly hear people using in the land of Israel. A lot of times they're using the Nakud system, and the writings that's going to be in the land, they're going to be now, they're using these Nakud system on signs, so on and so forth. So that's why we want to do it. So as Paul said, we can be all things to all people. Now, myself personally, just in my years of the walk, one of the things that people try to do to test your validity of who you say that you are, you would get some people, and I want to let you younger, I can be aware of this. Sometimes when you're sharing the word with people, the reason why we're also having these classes, because I like to share with y'all some of my experiences in my journey, because you're going to be all praise be to the Most High, your wisdom is increasing. and you start sharing things with people, and people will start listening to you. They're going to start hearing you, but there are going to be naysayers that's going to be present, that's going to want to try to discredit you, but they're going to do it by way of acting like they're your friend when actually they're your foe. And some of the things that have been done to me in times past was someone tried to do things and base it on the language is how they came at me to try to make me a novice because I was a novice in the language. And I still consider myself a novice in language after all these years, because you just got to really learn and be thorough with it. However, all praise be to the Most High. His word said he will not let you be confounded. So some of the level that they came at me with, I could interpret, and I did know both the modern and the paleo, which still shut down the naysayers. And it was somebody that tried to bring me before some Jewish individuals to try to discredit our Hebrew ethnicity, okay? And so when I was able to do it their way as well as our way, it kind of made those Jewish people now humble themselves to me. They wasn't there purposely to try to come at me, but it was the person that tried to set me up. And it was a Goyim who actually did it. So if we're going to be the Ish Elohim, we need to kind of know a lot of our history. We need to know the history of how our language changed, but not only just knowing the history of it, we need to know our language best we can. So, and we need to labor to learn it. So if we could, so you can see, and even the English alphabet, this looks like the letter A. The Aleph, it looks like a sideways A in the paleo. So it's still the same thing, Aleph, Bet, Gamel, Dalet, Hey. They have here Ur, but you can say Ur or Wa, some say Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yod, Kaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Sin. So if you look at all these, this is going to be the paleo line. So if you learn that line as well as the modern line, and I have some actual worksheets. The worksheets would probably be better because you can actually, the letter will be above and you can just kind of get familiar with writing them. And the way that I normally tell everybody to do it, if you don't already know these letters, and even if you do know them, it's still good to routinely do this. If you would do each of them 10 times each, do your alphabet. And when you do it, don't just write it. Like when you're writing the Aleph, whichever way you're writing it, if you're writing the paleo Aleph, write it Aleph, say Aleph and write it. Aleph, write it, Aleph, write it, Aleph, write it. Or you can say Aleph, Bet, Gamel, if you're doing it all together, but still write them down, and whether it's Aleph, Bet, Gamel, so on and so forth, do the rows like that 10 times. If you're doing one alphabet at a time to get it in your head, then do it 10 times. If you do it each 10 times each, at least once a day. And I'm going to tell y'all, it does not take every bit of 10 minutes, you know what I'm saying, to actually write your alphabet like 10 times each. At max 20 minutes. If you can dedicate at least 20 minutes, just 20 minutes, carve out 20 minutes to try to get your Hebrew practice in. Let's identify these letters, okay? So that's this portion of it. All right, so now the next thing that I want to do is also, so they were saying that they were laboring to study the Torah. So while we're laboring to study the Torah, we also want to be able to start being able to have Hebrew vocabulary words. So there is a saying that, so if I say atah may be, or atha may be, whichever Hebrew dialect one may say. So if I say after the end of explaining something, atah may be, that is me asking, do you understand? Do you comprehend? Do you understand what I'm saying? So in reference to what I just said about those sheets, I would say atah may be, meaning do you understand the assignment that was just given? And if you understood what we're saying, you could say Cain. You can say Cain, Cain, I need my being. Cain, I need my being. Lo, I need my being. Lo, I need my being. Allah, I need my being would be no, I don't understand. Or you can respond Cain, or you can respond Lo, because Cain, of course, is going to be saying Cain or Kun. It's going to be yes, Lo, Allah. Depending on the dialect, it's going to be no. And it's good for us to learn both dialects. So the other part of the conversation I was having with you is when I came up, there are those that use what they consider the ancient Hebrew. And so if one says Elohim or Elohim, they feel like they're saying ancient. If someone says Elohim, then they're saying that they're speaking Yiddish. We're going to be the Yiddish buster. That is not Yiddish, okay? So again, if I'm going too fast, y'all let me know, but I'm just trying to bring this information forward. So, so there's in our community, whenever someone speaks a different dialect. So again, if one is reading, let me put the screen back up for one moment. Speak out one moment, just while I'm doing this. So if one is reading again, what they consider the ancient or the paleo, and they see the Elohim, right? They may read it Elohim or Elohim, Elohim or Elohim, which to them means God, power, or mighty one, which translate into English, and the English Bible is the term what they have for God. If someone uses the modern Hebrew, which is with the Assyrian script, and they're using a Nakud vowel point system, the way that it's vowel pointed, they would say Elohim, Elohim in singular. So Elohim or Elohim or Elohim is plural when you look at it. And so in singular, if they're using the paleo, they would say Allah, Allah for mighty one. And if they're using the Assyrian or what's kind of called the biblical or modern script, they would say Elah, Eloah. All right. So there are those who would say that if you say Elohim, that's Yiddish. If you let's see, if you say Torah, and someone says Thawada, those that are saying Thawada are using this, and they're not using the vowel point system. So when they're saying Thawada, which means thank you, Torah, which means thank you, but there are those who are puffed up and saying that their dialect trumps another's dialect, and that's based upon your school of thought. But it's an erroneous teaching to say that Torah and Elohim is Yiddish and not Hebrew. Thawada is thank you. Torah is thank you. But the difference is they're using the different script, and they're not using the vowel points. So the vowel points is what's switching the sound, but that is not Yiddish, and that's what they make the argument. Oh, you speaking that fake Hebrew, you speaking Yiddish. That's not the case. Yiddish is a language that uses the same script, the same way Spanish. In order to spell spell boy in Spanish, can anyone tell me how to spell boy in Spanish? And don't actually do it, type it in the chat. Can anyone spell for me boy in Spanish? Type it in the chat. If you know how to spell boy in Spanish, and if you know how to spell girl in Spanish, type it in the chat. All right. So as I came, put niño, niña, niño, niña. So of course we know that the niño is going to be what? Masculine. The nina is going to be what? Feminine, right? But here's the thing. What alphabet did they use? So somebody respond out loud to me. What alphabet has been used?
Commonly, it's called the Romanistic, Roman letters.
So commonly, the Roman letters. But you leave it to me, or you leave it to us over here in America, we can say they use the English alphabet. But they use what appears to be what? The Roman letters. So y'all know how I use that saying a lot of times, use common sense for the nonsense. So Spanish is a language that uses the same alphabet that English uses. But if you're going to put boy and girl in English, would someone type it in the chat for me, please? Will someone please type boy in the chat and type girl in the chat so we can see what it looks like? Okay, so of course we know what it sounds like, but I want us to see what it looks like. So it's the same Romanistic letters that we would say is in English, but they have two different words. So that's gonna be boy on this side of the house in El Español, same alphabet. This is boy in English, same alphabet, two different words. So when a brother is saying that when someone says Elohim and they say Elohim, that the person who says Elohim is speaking Yiddish, that's false. Yiddish uses the same alphabet as Hebrew, the same script, but the words themselves can mean something different. So, for example, the word yad in Hebrew is going to be hand, but yad in Yiddish could mean something totally different. So it's not that the pronunciation is what's making it Yiddish. Yiddish is a language that uses the same alphabet. So what I'm doing is saying we use common sense for the nonsense. And we have to be, and not only with myself, not only with others, even with myself, research behind what I share with you so that we're not the same type of people that continues to regurgitate lies, false doctrine, and hatred based upon preference of where you come from. Preference of where you're taught from. If we're going to apply what's written in the Brit Kadashah, when Paul said it's all things to all people, but he never did anything unlawful, what he basically meant is, I know how to, if I'm going into the Knesset and they say Shalom Ak, I know what dialect Hebrew they use. So if they tell me, hey man, you spoke well, I can say Tawada to them. Being all that, I'm not going to be in it, yo, Ak, that ain't that, you ain't use no vowel points and all your syllables is only, that dialect Hebrew don't make no sense. Ak. And if they say, shalom, and they're using words like Elohim, then I'm going to know they're the ones that more so may understand the Nakud vowel system. I'm not going to say, oh, that's that Yiddish dialect Hebrew. Then I know where to fit, because I'm trying to be a servant of the Most High Elohim, and I'm trying to accomplish the mission. So instead of us repeating behind people, we need to be informed and informative, and we need to be educated with what we speak. We need to stop knocking and make sure that what we're saying is correct, and we're making an informative comment with wisdom, knowledge, and proper understanding. So with that, I came up from a school that would say that was Yiddish, and I was victim at one point to saying, oh, that's that Yiddish Hebrew. But as I studied on my own, the most I opened my eyes and saying, listen, there are different dialects. So, and we can prove that in the scriptures that even Israel themselves spoke different dialects depending on the region where they were. So I'm giving us a little bit of a history lesson as well as a Hebrew lesson tonight. So, but I wanted to go from that side of it because I want to share with you some of the errors that we have done. We have brought division into our community by trying to be scholarly, and my scholarship trumps your scholarship, and sometimes both of us sound ignorant. Sometimes we both can sound ignorant instead of just speaking truth based upon what we can explain and what we can show according to wisdom and knowledge, okay? So, Atame Bean, again, means, do you understand? So thus far, what I've stated, Atame Bean, which is, do you understand? And you can say lo, which means no, in one dialect, la'ah, in another dialect, kain akan, which means yes. That's the simple answer, right? But if you want to get more familiar with using terms, if you notice, Moreh Dawood starts to use a lot more terms, because the more we use the terms, the more it becomes written on our hearts, and it becomes natural for us to utilize them. So just saying lower Cain, we're already familiar with lower Cain. We're already familiar with using those. So it would be better to respond back with lo ani mebin, lo ani mebin, la ani mebin. No, I don't understand. Because now that's adding to your vocabulary. And when we're doing these things, we start asking each other, at least on these calls, certain terms. It's going to help us all build our vocabulary to the point where we can converse in public in Hebrew. That will be the goal, that we get to the point of being able to converse in Hebrew one with another, as many other nations do when they're around us. We can speak English, but if we need to go and start speaking Hebrew, and my thing is, the reason why I like both dialects, because most people don't study both dialects. So if we're ever somewhere when we know all a person knows is modern Hebrew, if we need to be able to have an Enoch moment and we just need to be able to communicate with each other and we don't want everybody to know what we're saying, then we can just use what's commonly called the paleo without the vowel points, and it'd be hard for some others to understand that dialect because most don't study that dialect. So just wanted to share that. So now I'm going to share. So also Decalogue one more time, Kanaka. So, and I'm going to go forward. Just read it one more time. I want y'all to hear the points that Zakane put up, because the language part was already like one of the main focal points, but I want us to see so much more that was written there. So give me that one more time, Kanaka.
Whereas many great things have been delivered unto us by the law and the prophets, and by others that have followed their steps, for the which things Israel ought to be commended for learning and wisdom, and whereof not only the readers must needs become skillful themselves, but also they that desire to learn, be able to profit them which are without, both by speaking.
Pause it for a second. So the readers of the Torah, we need to become skillful ourselves. Skillful in the Torah, but not only skillful in the Torah in English, but skillful in the Torah in Hebrew, so we can have that concrete understanding. Read on, Adon.
Both by speaking and writing. My grandfather Yahushua, when he had given himself much studying to the reading of the law and the prophets and other books of our fathers.
Hold on for a second. So it said both by speaking and what else can I say? Both by speaking and what?
By speaking and writing.
By speaking and writing. So when we're writing some of this stuff down, it's going to help us build our vocabulary. It's going to help us learn how to be able to go up to a board and write a commandment in Hebrew, the same way we can get up to the board and write "Thou shalt not kill" in English, or "Honor your father and mother." We can get up there and write that in English. We should be able to get up and write, because we're actually writing down Torah in the Hebrew. We're studying it. We're laboring to get a firm foundation with the language as well as the commandments themselves according to Torah. Read on.
My grandfather Yahushua, when he had much given himself to the reading of the law and the prophets and other books of our fathers, and had gotten therein good judgment.
He's given much to the reading of the law and the prophets and other books of our fathers. So our time needs to be in studying our material, our history, our Torah, and the writings of the prophets and the other writings that have been written. He labored to study these things so that it was going to be profitable to him. And as he said, it was his grandfather. So the grandfather's going to pass these traditions down to his sons and his grandchildren. So we supposed to be able to make the word of Yah easy to be understood to others, because we're laboring in this word and we're going through and we're rightly dividing the word because we're laboring in it. Read on.
Was drawn on also himself to write something pertaining to learning and wisdom, to the intent that those which are desirous to learn and are addicted to these things might profit much more in living according to the law.
So he wanted to actually write something according to learning, to help others learn how to interpret the law, how to know the language. So he's wanting to write something to aid others in the study, those who are addicted and are desirous to know this. If we are going to be Ish Elohim, we should be addicted to studying the word of Elohim. And if we have other addictions, as Moreh Dawood was saying, leading up when it was about 45 days out, that we need to start our purging process. We need to start purging ourselves from our addictions if we're not addicted to this Torah. If we're not addicted to studying, we need to carve out time in each day to make sure that we're studying the word and we become addicted to that to the point where we can't miss that, like we can't miss a meal. Read on it on.
Wherefore, let me entreat you to read it with favor and attention, and to pardon us, wherein we may seem to come short of some words which we have labored to interpret, For the same things uttered in Hebrew and translated into another tongue
So
have
Cain,
not the same.
So I'm not the most fluent Hebrew reader. I'm way more fluent than some. I'm way less fluent than others. When we are interpreting things, sometimes we're going to be short of some of the interpretation. There's going to be a word that may be new. And as y'all see, when you go through reading the language, you start parsing it out because of prefixes, suffixes, because of the verb tense, the words sometimes change the appearance of the root word. Letters are added, letters are dropped. So sometimes we may be laboring to understand what something says, but at least we are laboring. And we need to continue to labor to the point where our vocabulary and our understanding grows. There are accent marks, there are masculine, feminine, there are plural, singular. There are a ton of things that we have to learn while laboring in this Torah. And the more informative we get with the language, we can also see that in English, there could be an error based upon the way they translated it. That could be something totally different based upon a verb stem, based upon whether something was masculine or feminine. You know, so that's why we have to labor to do these things. And this is something that we as Ish Elohim need to start doing. And that's why we're trying to encourage that on this study. And I'm trying to get a way of making it enjoyable to us so that we stop pushing our vegetables away and stop eating all that meat. We got to get our veggies too. We got to get, and I'm gonna tell you one that I don't like. We got to get our veggies. We got to get our, what's the thing my Ish be making me eat sometimes that I don't like? Them red things, beets. I really can't stand beets. You know, it just tastes like some roots. But sometimes you got to eat your healthy stuff. You got to eat. We got to get this portion in. Okay. So, and it says things that are written in the Hebrew has a more strong and more powerful vibration. So we need to understand it the way that the Creator gave it to our forefathers. And we need to labor to do it. And then we need to be studious in it to the point where we can aid others in learning and encouraging them in learning as he wrote something or want to write something in regards to learning for those who are addicted to learning. So we should make it that once we learn it, that we make it desirable unto others to want to learn it. And we have a way where it can be easier for them to learn something that may have taken us a long time, but the way we present it to them, we're aiding them with their learning. And through the Spirit of the Most High, that's the reason why I want to at least go into the night about some of these things and terms that's in our community that divides us, such as those that are saying that if we're using one dialect, it's Yiddish. That is not truth. So we have to study these things and give people an aid and a guide to being able to study things and know exactly what we're speaking about when we're speaking to the best of our ability. I'm going to drop that, Kanakya, if you could, just to prove one other point that I made. Let's jump to the book of Shoftim or Judges, chapter 12. We're going to jump to, and again, this is just one for you to utilize in the event that someone is trying to compare, I'm a better at Hebrew because you're using the wrong dialect of Hebrew. I just want to show that the Most High always leaves some type of scriptural example for us to be able to glean from to answer certain questions. So Judges chapter 12, Kanakya, start at 1.
And the men of Ephraim gathered themselves together and went northward and said unto Jephthah, wherefore passeth you over to fight against the children of Ammon? And did it not call us to go with you? We will burn your house upon you with fire. And Jephthah said unto them, I and my people were at great strife with the children of Ammon. And when I called you, you delivered me not out of their hands. And when I saw you delivered me not, I put my life in my hands and passed over against the children of Ammon, and y'all delivered them into my hand. Wherefore then are you come up unto me this day to fight against me?
So I want to hold it for a second. So if you go back to the chapter prior, what you're going to see is that this brother is actually their brother, but they're looking at him somewhat as bastard would be a lack of a term, because the bastard would be a fatherless child, but because he was not of the same mother, they were not treating him really as a brother. But when war came to their doorsteps, They want to go get their brother to come fight with them because they really are the actual same tribe, but they were not accepting him honorably the way that they should have a brother. So now moving forward, you know, he did go and he did aid and help them, but now he's now doing his own thing again because they didn't even come help him. So now they're coming up against him like, hey, why you ain't call us? And he's basically letting them know, like, look, I had to deliver myself. Y'all ain't come, y'all ain't send me no aid, y'all ain't come help me. Verse 3, can I count?
And when I saw you delivered me not, I put my life in my hands and passed over against the children of Ammon, and y'all delivered them into my hand. Wherefore then are you come up unto me this day to fight against me?
So y'all fronting like y'all really care. Now y'all want to come fight against me. Look, my life was in my hand. I had to fight on my own sword, and y'all delivered them in my hand. Now y'all want to come fight against me? But anyway, read on, Kanat. Let's get to the point.
Then Jephthah gathered together all the men of Gilead and fought with Ephraim. And the men of Gilead spoke Ephraim because they said, you Gileadites are fugitives of Ephraim among the Ephraimites and among the Manassites. And the Gileadites took the passages of Jordan before the Ephraimites. And it was so that when those Ephraimites which were escaped said, let me go over, that the men of Gilead said unto him, are you an Ephraimite? If he said, nay, then say they unto him, say now Shibboleth. And he said Sibboleth, for he could not frame to pronounce it right.
Because he was speaking Yiddish. Y'all see that? Oh, he's speaking Yiddish. No, so basically, y'all know I'm being comical with that part. But basically, so now these are pretty much the same people that live on in different areas now, and they were not gelling together as being of the same tribe, so to speak. So now the Gileadites are now going against the Ephraimites and the Manassites because they look at them as not being one with them. But all of these are Israelites. And so now since the Ephraimites, and y'all, if y'all do the history of Ephraim, sometimes Ephraim do get a little way about themselves or always want to try to take it to somebody. You know what I'm saying? Ephraim kind of got their way of being jealous natured or when their name is not involved or being lifted up to be praised for accomplishing something. You know, we know, you go back and you read the Kings, you see how Ephraim get down. So anyway, Ephraim is now coming against the Gileadites. And so now they say, look, we're going to fight for ourselves and we're going to defeat them. If they cross over this land here, here's how you tell the difference. Meaning, because custom, you can't tell the difference in appearance because we the same people. They got their fringes on, they got their garments on too. We look alike. So how do we know who is who? If we should kill them or not, if they are, you know, if we done caught them and they ain't got their crew with them, now they're going to blend in with us. How do we tell if they are them or us? He said, say unto them, say Shibboleth. Let me hear you say Shibboleth. And they would say Sibboleth because they was not used to framing or forming their words the same way, or they were not using the same dialect as they used. So by the language dialect, was how they were able to be determined or differentiated between to know if they were actually one of the Ephraimites or the Gileadites, who are all Israelites. So even in the scriptures themselves, we can see where Israelites also spoke different dialects based upon who you ran with, your school of thought, the region that you stayed in, your dialect could be different. And today online, we have brothers that will clown one another on dialect, and we have a scripture right here to let you know that they spoke different dialects. They didn't say, oh, because you speak Yiddish. No, the fact that you cannot pronounce the words and you don't talk like we talk, your accent is different. You use S words, we use SH words. So for myself, I actually prefer Barakatha. That's how I came up. Barakatha, which is bless you. But now, when you're using the modern, people say Barakatah. I prefer the TH, the tha. I still reference my tav as a TH, where they're saying that the tav in modern is a T. But you already have tet for T, so I still reference the depending on the placement and the vowel or the other consonant that's going to follow, I pronounce it still as a TH, preferably. But for the sake of Being Akkad, if I know my brother say Atah, I say Barak Atah. Baruch Atah. Baruch Atah Yahweh Elohim. Baruch Atah Yahweh Eloheinu. But if someone say Barak Atah, I can say Barak Atah also, because I still understand that to be Hebrew also. And I'm not making not saying that one is using Yiddish or not. It is just the dialect and the region or where they learned, the forefathers or whatever is the reason why the dialect to difference is there. And so this nonsense that we have going on online and saying someone is using Yiddish, it is not Yiddish. Now, when you actually look up the word for Sibulet and Shibulet, they have different meanings if you look them up. However, it's supposed to mean the same thing because they were telling them to say a particular word that they cannot pronounce the way that they did. All right. So, so I just want to use that just for your sake. So notate for yourself if anyone ever comes at you with about this dialect argument of Hebrew, so on and so forth. Just remember Judges chapter 12. And so this came to me by way of reading, as I said before, just meditating in the word, and you come across these things, and the Most High starts giving you this nuggets. That's why as Ish Elohim, I don't want us to be the ones that's always trying to prove somebody else wrong. Just let us teach what is right in the Ruach of Ahab, in the Ruach of love, and just doing what is right and not trying to belittle someone else that may not have grown or matured to where we've matured to. And let us also remember our immature time and the fact that we've matured to a place and remember where we came from. So how would I knock somebody else's dialect of Hebrew and I spoke the same dialect before learning another dialect? How would I knock someone and say they're speaking Yiddish when it's not Yiddish, but I need to own up and say, I used to teach that foolishness follow behind people that had a preferred dialect that never really wanted to study and find out the facts on why are there these different dialects and what is actually Yiddish or not, okay? So I'm gonna yield at that point. Thus far, Atame Bean, Akim.
Atame Bean.
Say it again.
Can Atame Bean.
Okay, hallelujah. Torah Adon, hallelujah. All right, so before we close out, let's do a little reading practice of Torah for those, because Yamin said he wants to be encouraged, and we all want to get a little bit more fluent with reading of the Torah. So one thing that we should all know, and this is not a knock to anyone right now on the call. How many people knows pretty much the Shema? Can you recite the Shema, at least in English? Can you recite it in English? Okay, I see someone going up. Can you recite it in Ibrit? Can I get a thumbs to go back up if you can recite it in Ibrit as well? Okay, so I see Yosef Torah Adon, he says so, and that's cool. You know, that's cool. So is cool. That's what this is about. So I was so at one point. I'm still so in a lot of other stuff that I need to grow more in. So is a good place, and even not being able to do it is still a good place. But now getting beyond that good place, we got to get to a better place. It's time for us to all grow and do better, because if Moreh Dawood is not present, or he is present, but just like at Sukkot, it was so much going on at Sukkot this year, we had to break off and go to pray for people. Class and all was supposed to start. It needs to be where the officers, the captains, somebody else can say Torah portion is supposed to start at 12. I don't see Moreh Dawood, I don't see Moreh Samak, but Torah portion is supposed to start. They said if we're not there by 12, sound the shofar, somebody send up the tefillah, and let's get it started. Someone should still be able to set up tefillah, set up the Shema before the people, you know what I'm saying, and be able to read it. What is it? Hallelujah, don't. So Azar said he don't know it by heart, but he can read it in Hebrew. So hallelujah, you know. But the growth is that we all want to be able to read it, because some of us can't read it in Hebrew. So And one thing I do want you to understand too, because me and Moreh Dawood do a lot of things from memory, technically the most important person at a Torah study is the reader. Because we have to make sure that even if we're quoting something, that what we're quoting is as it's written. So we have the Torah, so as long as we can actually read it and you don't know it by heart, to be able to read it is what we all need to be able to do, because that's what's written there so the people can still hear the Shema. But the goal is to be able to read it as well as to try to learn it by heart. There's certain things that each of us, if we labor together, should learn certain things by heart so that everything, the show still goes on. Okay, so tonight we're going to be going to, give me a moment. I'm going to be going to Deborah. Where you at, Hebrew Bible? You done moved on me? All right. Hebrew Bible, screen share. And Akim, I have sleep guy. I lost it. Is my screen share on? Somebody, can y'all see my screen?
Okay.
Moreh got Shemot chapter 20.
Okay. All right. So we're going to Deborah chapter 6. And this is going to be where I'm getting ready to close out at tonight. But just kind of want to go into some of the importance of the goal that we're trying to achieve. You know, and I'm going to tell you, I give all praise, honor, esteem to the Most High. But you know, I've been doing this for a while now, as far as teaching the word, being over a congregation, so on and so forth. But when I see the elders, and not just the elder men, but the elder women, really look to the younger generation, and they have such a respect because they feel like these young men really love the Most High. These young men really take their duty serious. They talk about Adon Shah and Adon Kanak with the praying for people every day. Y'all took the charge, and Zaken Yaakov, y'all took the charge, y'all get on there and y'all get it done. They really, that gives them hope, that gives them joy to know these are young men that are doing this. So my encouragement to the young men is, but the more they see us growing together, that's going to encourage the people even more. Like, those are truly the Ish Elohim. It's not just because we are calling each other by titles. The title need to be something that a person just know, as we was covering in one of the studies in a couple of weeks ago, that when we enter to a room, not that we enter with our heads up full of pride, we want to walk in humble. We want to walk in meek. We want to walk in with love and compassion, but because of who we are, because of the growth, because of the way we respect our wives, the way we respect and submit ourselves one to another, by the way we treat our elders, by the way we treat women, by the way we treat children, they are different. Them are Ish Elohim, and they respect us because the Ruach that dwells upon us. And the more growth they see in us, they know that we're taking this seriously. So if we are only to the point where we can identify the letters, we want to get to the point of being able to sound them out. If we can sound them out, we want to get to the point where we can identify the words and build our vocabulary. If we can only read it, we want to get to the point where we can recite it. We're going to recite part of it. We want to be able to recite a little bit more. We want to grow in this thing because, again, it should be interchangeable, that the show never stops. If I can't do it or Dawood can't do it, we are all Ish Elohim. The show for the Most High must go on. If someone is not present, one of you carries it on when we're at these feasts, when we're at Shabbat service, so on and so forth. All right. So who's going to be the first volunteer reader to start off? And it can't be Moreh Dawood. All right. About yourself, the floor is yours.
Can. This is Devarim chapter 6:4, correct?
Yes, Cain.
Okay. Read Shema Yisrael, Yahuwah Eloheinu, Yahuwah Echad. Ve'ahavta et Yahuwah Elohecha Bekor Bebabka Ubekor Nefeshka Ubekor Meodeka.
All right, Torah, Don. Great reading, great reading. Azaria who?
Am I starting at verse 6?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yahoo. Wait. Oh, okay. Wahoo. Wait. Wahau. Hadabarim. Ha Eloha. Wait. Ha Elo. Wait. No. Hale.
So consonant vowel, consonant vowel, consonant vowel. So
Ha wait. Ha ele. Ha ele.
Cain.
Ashir. Aniki.
No, look at that again.
No.
Okay.
Anoki.
Cain.
Oh. Mizau. Uka. Uka.
That's kind of
No. That's a digest forte.
Okay.
Correct. So that would be me za wa za.
So this one is kind of hard the way that it's written because so what sound does this make?
That will make a wa or u.
Okay. So generally it make a wa, you said, or u. Okay. So, and this is Shiva is telling us not to pronounce this so long, so we don't want to say ma, like what most people say the ma, which if that would have been a patak comments under here, that would make that ma, but to put the Shiva there was telling you to say it faster or shorten the vowel that would be here. So instead of saying mats, so you just kind of got the M sound. So you so what do you have here, the first two again?
I have mazah.
Okay, so you have mazah. Okay, anybody want to help out with this one? What do you somebody else want to, what do you get from here? Shashmar?
And I'll give it a try.
Okay.
Asta Udeka.
Boy, you threw some extra letters in there. You said Mr. Deka, huh, Shashmar? Okay. So that is a kaf here, but there's no dalit there. So you added a deka in it. There's no dalit. But good shot. Anyone else want to try to help out? I see two participants, but I can't see who is up. So who hands are raised? Zakane, could you tell me whose hands are raised?
Mine and Shashamar is what I see, Moreh.
Okay, so okay, Zakane, you're up.
So that last word right there is Mitsuka.
So it's very hard. So some say mitzvaka, mitsuka. So when you say it, so Azar, you actually were on it. It's just hard when you're trying to say it slow. So and a lot of times, this is something else I want to also understand also, is phonetically when we're sounding these words out and you're calling them out slowly, it's kind of harder to pronounce them than like normally when a person is kind of reading through it with a little more speed, you know, because so we have here what I actually pronounce this is why, you know, because generally but this is a vowel here, so this is now going to go back to it's this yod sometimes can take on a vowel sound or it can have its consonant value. So because there's a vowel point here, this is going to go back to its consonant form. So I have wahayu, chadabarim, cha'ele, asha, anoki, mitsuka, or mitzwaka, mitsuka. So I'm putting it all together. So if we use without the vowel points, some would say ma tazawar waka, you know, but we're using the vowel points. So when you say it all together, because you're only getting these two are joined together kind of. Mitsuka. And as Zakane was just saying, so it's kind of hard to say the way they have the vowel on it. And then this one here also has a Shiwa under there, which I'm going to give each of you a book. I'm going to ask you just not to really share it. I'm going to share it with you all for the purpose of study. And so we can go through this curriculum base together. So as we go through it together, we complete the book together and we'll build together. So at some point, I'm going to be getting each of you a copy of a book. It's going to be the electronic version. I prefer hard copies. So I have it electronically, but I also have it hard copy because once I had it electronically, then I actually print it out, but it's very thick. So it'll cost you a little bit to print it out, but but I do want to get you all that for your study purposes. So, okay, Azar, pick right up from here.
Cain. So Mitsuka. Hayom El.
Look at it again. Look at this one again.
Al. Babeka. La Babeka.
Okay, La Babeka. And so actually here, this owl that you said, generally I would pronounce it, you can pronounce it L. Sometimes they switch the vowel points on certain words, which we'll cover later, and it gets confusing because it'd be the exact same word, vowel pointed differently, which makes you sound it out phonetically differently. So a lot of times when we're reciting, sometimes I don't even call out when a person pronounces the vowel a little differently, but for the sake of us being able to identify, and when we're doing it in this study format, I will, just to make sure we're recognizing the vowel points that's under them. Okay, who's next up?
Shashamar has his hand, Moreh.
Okay, so I don't want to Shashamar, I want to do something different for you. I want you to go back to 4, and I want you to do 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Because the goal tonight is for us to go through it. And sometimes it's not about how many verses that you clear and trying to go so far, but what you're getting. I remember Elder Herman, when I first started teaching them the Most High's prayer in Hebrew, he worked that first line till that first line became a part of him. Then he worked that second line till it became a part of him. And that's how he started working up to being able to do the Hebrew prayer. And then some of his prayers, like his individual prayers that he would pray and in partial Hebrew, he would start with the familiar lines that he already had in Hebrew because it became a part of him. So right now, I just want us to kind of focus on being able to read it. And while we're reading it, try to memorize for the sake of reciting the portion of Shema that we normally read on the Shabbat. So Shashma, start back at verse 4.
Okay, all right. Shema Yisrael Yahweh Eloheinu Yahuwah Echad Wa'eha B'tah Et Yahweh Elohe. Okay, all right. Elohe Ka.
Okay.
Oh.
Not
Bakal.
So it's almost will be ba, but because it has in here. So what you got?
Bakal.
Okay.
Babika. Ubikal. Nafeshka. Ubikal. Modeka.
Okay. Okay. Zaken Yakwa, can I get you to do something for me, sir? Without vowel points. Without vowel points, so they can get familiar with being able to hear it from someone reading without vowel points. Can you read the Shema without vowel points?
Come, Moreh. Verse 4.
Yes, okay.
Shema Yashara al Yahweh Alahayana, Alahayanu. Now, I'm getting it a little mixed up with the modern. So here we go.
Right.
Shema, Yasha'al, Yahweh, Alahayanawa. Yahweh, Akkad.
Okay, so y'all, so I know y'all probably heard on some of them singing videos that some of those brothers do, and it does still sound beautiful. They say Shema Yasha'al or Yasha'ala. Some say Yasha'al, some say Yasha'ala, Yahweh Alahayanawa, Yahweh Akkad. You know, that's what they're saying. Again, so, but you can see it's not much difference. It's just, it sounds slightly different in some areas, you know. But you can be able to identify, just like when you say Yisrael, Yasha'al, Yisrael, Yasha'al, Yahweh, Yehovah, Yahuwah. You know, we know people pronounce this differently, but I will be going into a teaching on this at some point also, and show you that it's written different places with different vowel points, which also brings somewhat of a confusion. And that's the reason why we choose to use what we utilize for the sake of oneness. So then you have Eloheinu or Alahayanawa, Yahweh, Yahuwah, Yahuwah, Akkad. So you hear some people say Ekkad, because this here's Ekkad. But you have Akkad, Ekkad. So it's still all the same thing. But if you say Ekkad, those brothers say you speak in Yiddish, but no, it's the same thing, and it still means the same thing. Shema Yasha'al or Yisrael, Yahuwah, Yahweh, Yehovah, Eloheinu or Alahayanawa, Yahuwah, Akkad, Ekkad. It all means the same thing. Hear, O Israel, Yah, our power, Yah is one. Okay, for the sake of time, we're at 9:45 mark. I'm going to stop at this point, Mishpachah. So if you would, for reading practices, do most of you have a Hebrew Bible that you can read from? I would suggest if you could get a Hebrew reader, the hard copy. I mean, you can get it's made out of leather softback. What I mean is, because reading it from the pages, when in the Hebrew reader, it gives you some of the words that's not commonly used. Down at the bottom of the page, it's going to tell you what some of the words are, but it's totally in Hebrew, and it's for reading practice. And if you get that for reading Hebrew, it will help you with your reading of the Hebrew, and it's numbered numerically in a way where you can find your verses. Because I can show you that in some of my Torahs that I have, it's very hard to find the point of where a verse starts if you're not familiar with how it's written in Greek. So the Hebrew reader, it actually gives it to you to the point where you can see where the verses start at, because it's going to have actually 1, 2, 3 exactly where the verse starts at, and you can practice your reading. And if you would, practice reading Devarim, the Shema portion, and also practice reading throughout the week, Bereshit, do your Bereshit reading, and also do your Shemot, Exodus chapter 20 reading, because the goal is going to be able to read the Shema, recite the Shema, and read the 10 Devarim, as well as not only reading the 10 Devarim, but also being able to recite the 10 Devarim. So that is a goal for us to try to achieve. Again, for your practice, write your vocabulary, the ancient as well, what's commonly called Paleo, as well as your Assyrian script. If you would write them 10 times a day, you know what I'm saying, that'll take you every bit of 10, at the most 20 minutes just to do that, to get familiar with the alphabet. Do that and do your reading practice, and your vocabulary and all that stuff start coming. As the more we practice, the vocabulary will build. And Mishpachah, like, this is something I want to stay diligent on, because we already do a lot of study, but we need to dedicate some time to studying Torah by way of Ibrit as well. So we may not cover a lot of verses, but the goal and the way we're going to build our vocabulary is, if it's only 2 verses a night, we want to be able to go through and parse out those 2 verses to label, what does it really mean? What did the Creator really say? We need to be able to start being able to parse them out. And I know we're fluent enough now, some of us, where we could probably do about 5 verses during this night, and we can get the vocabulary out of it. We can let everybody go through some reading practice. But for the goal, if y'all would, let us all work on the Shema, the Devarim, the 10 Devarim or Asherah Devarim, and work on your Hebrew vocabulary. And in 2 weeks when we come back, there should be some growth in each of us. And I won't just be calling on the same readers. We all need to be involved in this because if you don't participate, you know what I'm saying, it's not going to help you. You know what I'm saying? Listening to someone else do it does not help you. And it's not about how fast or how slow we are. We're only going to go as fast as the slowest person because we're brothers. And we're going to help it. So it's not, we're not picking at nobody. Some of us are going to pick it up quicker than others, but we're here to help one another grow in the Most High. So with that, I pray and I hope that this portion has been encouraging. That's the assignment for the week. I'm about to yield the floor now to Zaken Yaquab because he have his hands up. Zaken, the floor is yours, Adon.
Now, Moreh, I didn't want to interrupt you. I just wanted to draw your attention before you actually close out. But since I got the floor, Shashmar has a question in the chat. I'm not sure what he's asking. The Koren Tanakh, are you talking about the Koren Tanakh? I think when you said a Hebrew reader.
No, as a matter of fact, hold on, let me grab mine for a second.
And the other thing I was going to say is like when you opened up, wow, that was an eye opener for me. You know, I haven't been practicing reading it in the paleo. I've been really practicing reading it in the biblical, the modern, and it shows.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. And like I said, and so, and if we just practice both, we can stay good. But the modern is what we're going to teach because, like I said, it's what all the Torahs are pretty much written in, and that's what the majority of our brothers and Knesses and assemblies where we fellowship with, that's what they use, but don't want to lose being able to interchange on the other side. And I too, Zaken, I've been using this more now for teaching purposes, even though I still prefer using the paleo script as some of the pronunciation without the Nakud system. But being one with the nation and us trying to become more and more one, the majority of the Knesset that we fellowship with or we're coming to fellowship with, they are learning the modern, or what's commonly called the biblical. So that's why, you know, it's good because I know you've been laboring, because I know me and you, we do that paleo, you know what I'm saying? So, but you've been doing a great job with the modern. I mean, and it's outstanding. And it just shows that also what we're showing is where other people are knocking something, you have labored to learn it the other way instead of knocking, where others not even making the attempt to even understand that you're knocking what you don't even understand. Whereas we are laboring to be all things to all people. So Torah for all your hard work, Zaken. Give me 1 second. Let me run to my other book room to get so I can show this book real quick.
Moreh, you talking about the JPS reader?
No, Zaken. JPS is a Tanakh. That print is a little small, but I have an actual Hebrew reader.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me pull it up online. Because I can probably just go. Let me go on the bookstore. Yosef, you can be speaking. Y'all, I'm here, but I'm gonna be looking this book up real quick so I can see if I can find it online real quick.
Okay, mine is more of a question. So for most, like I know for myself, just as my walk went through, I kind of use like apps and things of that nature to kind of help with my Hebrew as well. But as far as the paleo, I was going to ask, do they have any books that read in paleo but have the explanations on the bottom, kind of like how most like King James Bibles have the explanations on the bottom as well? Just a question.
To answer that, Adon, is very, very few, if you find any. And the ones that you do find will be something that some of our brothers of certain congregations have written recently, but it won't be many books that you can like go on Amazon and so on and so forth to find many that's written that way. There are a few. There's actually a website also, I'm trying to think of the name of it. It's like a color-coded Hebrew Bible, and it has both the Paleo. You can switch between the Paleo and the Hebrew. I'm not Paleo. The Paleo and the Syrian script, but it doesn't give like explanations down to the bottom. But it does give you both for reading practices. I'm trying to see.
Kane, I'm tracking a what's that called? The Q Bible, where it has the modern Hebrew, breaks it down from the modern to the English, and then it has the translations of it. So I'm thinking it's the same concept with that.
Why is it not pulling up? Hold on, let me see this right here. Well, they not showing a picture of it. Not showing a picture. Oh, this is it right here. What? Okay, you can get them. You can get them used now. For $24. They done went up on. They're going up on everything. Like I got mine back in the day for like 20 some bucks. Now they $52.99. So it's A readers. How do I share this to the group? This link. So Shasha, I can see this. I don't know how to share this. How do I share this? Okay,
You should just be able to copy and paste the link, though, and just put it right into the link.
Yeah, but on my link, my link is only showing Amazon.com in the bar. It's not showing because I'm on Amazon, so it's not. I don't think it's gonna pull it because it only says Amazon.com in my link. But what I'm actually on is I thought it was supposed to be where I can share it right to where I'm at. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, give me 1 second. Oh, it's supposed to be where I can share this. Anyway, Shashma, it's on Amazon. It's called A Reader's Hebrew Bible. A Reader's Hebrew Bible. And it's a brown book. It's gonna be in a box. It's how can I copy and paste this? Boy, I'll tell y'all when it comes to for me to be an electronics technician and a computer repair guy, I do hardware. I don't do software. I'm not one that use the computer, but I can fix them. Shashamar, I still see your hand up, but I done lost my whole page.
Moreh, you're trying to share what your web page, what you're looking at currently?
Yeah. So I should just do a screen share, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you should just share your screen and then click.
Yeah, this. So smart till I'm dumb. There it is right there. Shashmar, can you see that?
And I can see it.
So that's what I use a lot. And that's what it's looked like up close. So it's all Hebrew on the inside. Make my screen big so I can see it. And see, it's gonna go through, I'm show you what some of the pages look like. So it makes it easy for you here because like I said, it's gonna say Genesis. And of course, it has the Hebrew headings. And it has information in here. We're not gonna read all that. I just want to show you what the pages look like when you start reading. Please let me make it to some Hebrew. It's got a whole lot of notes in the beginning of it for you to explain how to use it and some of the things, but goodness. All right. And so then when you get into the reading of it, that's all you have. It's going to just have the Hebrew on the page. That's what it looks like. But you see how the numbers are here, 2, 4. That's literally where the verse start at. In the Hebrew Tanakh, all it's going to be close together. It's not going to be that big space. All you're going to see is this right here. And 4 is going to come up. And you're going to be like, where did the verse start at? But they actually have it where you can actually be able to separate your verses here. And so you can see here how it has Bereshit, Bara, and down to the bottom of the page, you see how it has down here, beginning. So it's going to let you, so as you're sounding it out, down to the bottom of the page, it has some of the words for you. Beginning, create, that's the root word. It don't tell you in beginning like what it actually says, but it's letting you know the root word. So beginning, bara, create, so it's just giving you darkness, koshek. So it's good to help you with also identifying and building a vocabulary while you're studying and not depending on cheating, like looking over to what does it say in English, you know what I'm saying? And then that's how you build up what you think it says versus you laboring to study it this way. And then you can go down to the bottom of the page and say, what's this word right here that I don't know? And you go back up and look at that word. So I'm gonna go back to, so you can see it now. You still see my screen, correct, Shai?
Yeah, Torah. I can see it.
Yeah. So like I said, they said they have 24 used for $24.97. Oh, well, that's the imitation leather. That's 52. Mine is imitation leather, and I still got it for like $24. They got 27 new for 42. So whichever one you want, this is it right here. This is on Amazon.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed that too. I got the Strong's book about a year ago, almost 2 years ago. I got it for like $20. Mm-hmm. Now it's about $30 now on Amazon.
Mm-hmm. All right. Akim, is there anything else before we get ready to close out? Yes, sir, yourself.
Kane, right before you close out, I just copied and put that link in the chat just for all intents and purposes. The link is in there. For those that have Amazon's account, you just click on that link and it'll just pop right up.
And they told out for that, Adon. And it's good if people can get those. That way, when we come together for feasts, for service, and so on and so forth, if you have to go up front to read, you know, it's easy to read from because it's specifically for reading Hebrew. So it'll be your Hebrew reader. And the JPS is what me and Zakane Yaquab have. So we do have the JPS to knock. But the issue is when you have English on one side and the Hebrew on the other side, it's making the text even smaller. And I know that I'm noticing that I'm aging, that my eyes is not, you know, I don't see things as clearly as I used to. So that bigger print of just being able to read Hebrew is much more comfortable on the eyes, especially if you're coming up to read Hebrew. So that too shows growth, that even if we're not fully understanding what we read, to be able to get fluent with the reading, that way we can say, hey, read it for me in Hebrew. And then if someone else parses it out or breaks it down, it still shows that we are growing as each Elohim in the Most High, and we're doing it one step at a time, each Shabbat at a time, every Torah study at a time. So that's all I have for tonight. The floor is open for any comments before we close out. I hope this has been informative. Yes, sir, Zakane.
Moreh, I remember Saw Yosef was saying that if anybody had or what recommend, you're saying with the paleo interlinear.
Okay.
I sent you a copy of Moreh Samak. I sent you a copy of what I have that has the English, the modern, and the paleo scriptures. It's in your email.
Okay.
But I was waiting on a reply from you if you thought that would be a good, useful tool in this study. So I didn't.
You sent it already?
I sent it to I sent it to you about I sent it to Zakane Lasemba, and I sent it to you. That's a good month ago now.
Okay, let me
I think Elder Lasemba, Zakane Lasemba confirmed that he got it.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
God. But if you want me to, I can if you give me a co-host, I can pull it on the screen so you can see what it looks like.
Yeah, let me give you co-host real quick. Sorry, Johanna, can you give him co-host? Because I think you got the no, I think, am I the main host? Hold on. I think I got to get, hold on 1 second.
You the main host, Dom.
Okay, all right. Give me 1 second as I can. All right, Zakane, you should be up.
Can y'all see that? You can enlarge it. Let me see if I can enlarge it. Can y'all see that?
Okay.
So you see how it's got Matthew 1. Well, I pulled up the Old Testament, but I mean the New Testament, brick kind of shot, but I got it in the Old Testament also, and it's like like you said, it's color coded. So when you look in the at the actual letters, you see it Safar, Toledo, Yahushua, and you can see down here in the English what word they're actually saying. So like that Safar, you look for that color down in the English. It says Safar, the book, Toledo, the genealogies. But you see it's got the paleo, it's got the biblical or modern, and then I guess you would call that the phonetic, and then the actual English translation. I got both of those. I got the Old Testament and the New Testament. But you know, like I said, I was waiting for a response from you, Moreh, to see if you thought this would be a useful tool.
Definitely share it with Akim.
Khan.
Yep, told out. I'm trying to get back to my email now, so I can find it. Kane. So that would be a good aid. Yosef, thanks for asking that question. So that should be a definitely good aid, because like I said, anything to help, you know, because like I said, I like it when you can just read the Hebrew without having everything like side by side. And like he said, then you can go down to the bottom to try to build your vocabulary, and you know, because that was very good. All right. Is there anybody else before we close out? All right, Shashamar.
Yeah, you know, total blessing, you know, definitely got a lot. You know, it's definitely encouragement, you know, definitely to do more, you know. All praise to the Most High, you.
Hallelujah, all praises. And like I said, Aki, I can tell this past Shabbat, seems like you've been practicing too, Don. So just keep up that good work, Aki. Hallelujah. So I can't assemble. Yes, sir. Good elder. Give thanks. Good to see you, sir.
Shalom. As was just said, it was, I don't know, especially with me, I don't put in enough time to learn properly. I know the alphabet. I could say certain things, but actually being able to read, I haven't put in the time to do that, and I have to fix that. So this was kind of like a kick in the butt.
Hey, if I'm kicking you, I'm kicking me too, Zakan. That's why I say we do it together, because you know,
absolutely.
Like I said, our schedules are so busy. Then we have Sabbath studies and all the different classes. So this night we will help each other at least dedicate this time, you know what I'm saying, to trying to advance in that. So total Rabah for your participation and for you sharing, Zakan.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, hallelujah. All right. Well, do we have one of the Akim that would like to do the closing tefillah? But we got all these Ish Elohim on here. Nobody want to pray. Great day.
I'll send it. I'll send it up. Okay, go ahead. Well, Shashamar open. I'll go ahead and send it up if.
Okay. Told us. Okay.
Barakatah Yahweh Malak Haolam Hagadal Alahayim Abotinu Abraham Yitzchak wa Yaquab Halal Yah Toda Rabah Abba for this day, this Yawam, this Yom. Toda Rabah Abba for allowing us to come together on this platform to build a core of Ish Elohim, of Gabarim Abba Yah, mighty men to serve you, Abba Yah, but serve you in truth. Please, Abba Yah, continue to feed us the heritage of our forefathers. Continue to peel the scales off our eyes, Abba Yah, and circumcise our ears, Abba Yah, that we can see the path that you laid in front of us, and we can hear your instructions loud and clear, Abba Yah. Continue to bless us with your Ruach Abba Yah, who guides us in the truth and bless us with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, Abba Yah, that our light shines brighter and brighter under your majesty, unto your kingdom, that we may be that city on the hill, Abba Yah, to our lost brothers and sisters, and to be a force of encouragement and inspiration for our brothers and sisters who are trying, as we are, to walk in all your ways, Abba Yah, and to learn how to love you with all our heart, with all our soul, with all our might. Thawadah Rabah Abba, Todah Rabah Abba, for hearing our prayers, answering in due season at your will. And we just ask, Abba Yah, that you continue to put your hedge of protection around us. Let your Malakim go before us, Abba Yah, and spoil the traps and the snares and the obstacles that your adversary, your enemies, put before us, Abba Yah, your treasure, your inheritance. Keep us all, Abba Yah, and please continue to bless us with everything we could possibly need. Blessed are you, Yahweh. Blessed is your name, Yahweh, and blessed is he that comes in your name. Halal Yah, Bahasham Yahweh Shai Mashiach, Aman wa Aman.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, Aman wa Aman, Amen, Amen. Total Rabbah Zakein, Total Rabbah, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Right, Gabarim, mighty men of Yah. Man, I'm going to say a